Cougar Sports Saturday. Welcome back in. Kyle Ireland, Mitch Harper alongside for the ride today. It's a bye week for BYU football, Mitch, but they started off the season 2-0 after following up their win over Portland State with a win over Stanford a week ago. What are your expectations for BYU football now that they've opened the season 2-0? Have they changed at all? I mean, I feel like going into the year, we talked about, the non-conference slate going into the Colorado game in a couple of weeks and where BYU would be at from what we had, preseason expectation-wise. Did you think the 2-0 was going to happen the way that it did? Have things played out so far? And then also, have things changed in your mind for what you think this BYU team can be in 2025?
It's been better than expected, honestly. To go pretty much flawless against Portland State, 69-0, I thought that was impressive. And I know Portland State is terrible, and they're not a good football team, and I acknowledge that. But, again, they were just flawless. And then I think with Stanford, it's kind of what I expected, where there's going to be some ups and downs. Like things that we saw in fall camp showed up against Stanford where they're not finishing drives, they're not punching it into the red zone. That happened against Stanford. And it's a learning opportunity. But the nice thing is that BYU at no point in that game against Stanford felt like they were stressed. And Kalani Sitake pointed to that. I thought that was noteworthy because it allowed them a situation where, Bear Bachmeier, again, was comfortable. He didn't seem sped up. And I like, too, that the fact that Bear Bachmeier through 2 weeks is not fumbling the football, and he's had a lot of runs. He's taken some sacks. That blindside hit, he still takes care of the football. So I just think that BYU is doing a really nice job. And I think what's really showing up, too, as it kind of has become the case for BYU really the last handful of years, is the physicality, and Kalani Sitake is definitely happy where that's at.
We knew going into the game, Stanford was going to be really, really physical, and they're going to try to establish a physical presence at the line of scrimmage and offense and defense, and so as much as they can do with special teams. And I thought our team was really physical in all three phases, and that we can build off of that. Saw it on film, and really impressed with our team and the way the coaches prepped them. That was good. We needed that game. And so looking forward to building on it and getting better.
I think that is something that does show up because Stanford, as we talked about on this show last week, their defense had some individual personnel, and I thought they had a pretty good scheme going into that game against BYU. So credit to Stanford. I think their defense could put them in a spot to maybe win, 3 games maybe this year. Again, I don't think Stanford's going to be anywhere near a bowl game, most likely, I would think. I'd be pretty stunned if they go bowling after an 0-2 start, but they brought a lot of looks at BYU, and BYU had a great learning opportunity for Bear Bachmeier. You just want to see, Kyle, a little bit more explosive playmaking ability from the passing game because Kalani's best teams have always had that, and at some point that's going to have to turn the corner. Do you factor in just conservative play calling? Sure, I think that plays a role, but okay, let's start turning it up a little bit. Let's start seeing less conservative. Let's full systems go, and let's start stretching that field.
I know this is something that you've kind of pointed out consistently over the last few seasons, Mitch. In order to win in this conference in the Big 12, you have to have stellar quarterback play. You have to be able to throw the ball. And BYU, that's been a calling card for 40 years,
Oh, yeah.
BYU's been able to throw the football. And
50 years.
The teams that have not been effective and have won games for BYU in said seasons have been the teams that have struggled at the quarterback position. They've struggled to throw the ball. So I would like to see that happen with BYU's offense as well. I'd like to see them open things up. I saw a little bit more against Stanford than we did against Portland State. It felt like they just needed to get Bear out on the field against Portland State. He only threw the ball 11 times, went 7 of 11. Last week throws the ball 27 times, and he's up to almost 300 yards for the season. But BYU's been able to run the football as well. So, that's that fine balance of a battle where you want to have a balanced offense. You've got an awesome running back in LJ Martin who's got 241 yards on the season. I think that it's Aaron Roderick kind of using the run to set up the pass, using LJ Martin, his effectiveness on the ground. And, he's on pace for a really, really special season. Already has a career high for a single game against Portland State. And, he's probably going to break that again this season. I think that BYU, though, in order to really stand out and have an effective conference, record, is going to need to have Bear Bachmeier get in sync with these wideouts. against Stanford, that's one of the things that I just felt that was off maybe, was the connection with the wideouts, and hopefully that's something they can work on this week as a bye.
And that's going to be it's something that's retooled a little bit, that wide receiver unit, because JoJo Phillips banged up. He's out for the East Carolina game and probably going to be out for an extended period of time. Kalani Sitake on JoJo Phillips and his injury, that was a shoulder injury that he suffered in the first half against Stanford.
That was unfortunate what happened to JoJo, but we're hoping to get him back sometime during the season. Obviously not for this next game, but this is an opportunity for guys like Cody Hagan to step up, and guys like Tiger Bachmeyer and Tay Nakua. Reggie Frischnick is going to have an opportunity too. So that, along with Chase Roberts and Parker Kingston, it's going to be good. And we've seen some really good things from our tight end group too. Carson Ryan starting to catch some balls, and it's all coming together. But when one goes down, as unfortunate it is in football, it's a violent sport and injuries do happen. It gives an opportunity for the next guys, and so I'm hoping. We have depth in all our positions, and you don't want to always rely on it, but it's good to have that depth just in case things like this happen. So hoping to get JoJo back as soon as we can. And but until that happens, I think the other guys are going to have to step up.
That sound was on our sibling station, the KSL Sports Zone. Kalani hopped on and discussed JoJo Phillips, who JoJo, of course, shared a post on social media that he went into surgery because after the Stanford game, he's just in a sling. You think, okay, maybe it's a short-term deal, but then it becomes surgery, and it's much more intense when it comes to that with JoJo Phillips. So BYU will have to retool, and then you pair it up with the fact that Chase Roberts had a drop in the red zone last week. Parker Kingston hasn't had a great start this season. The hierarchy at the wide receiver spot will be interesting going into next week at East